Good morning, everyone. Shabbat Shalom. This is the first Shabbat of the year, Berashit. And what is the opening story? The creation of the world. But then the first story is where God tells Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden not to eat from the tree of knowledge. And of course, the snake entices Eve, and Eve entices Adam, and they eat from the tree of knowledge, and they are banished from paradise. And the question is, why is the first story in the whole Torah about not eating from the tree of knowledge? And perhaps the answer is based on a famous study that was done by a Stanford University professor known as the marshmallow test, where he took a group of 5-year-old kids and gave them each a marshmallow. And he said, if you want, you could eat the marshmallow now. But if you wait 15 minutes when I come back and you don't eat it, I will give you a second marshmallow. And he came back 15 minutes later, and there were some kids who had eaten it and some kids waited to get the second marshmallow. But then the professor tracked these kids for the next 40 years. And what did he discover? That those kids who waited for the second marshmallow, that had the discipline, the self-control to delay gratification for long-term benefit, were far more successful in their lives than those who ate the marshmallow immediately. And the point of the study was that a key component in success in life is being able to think about the long-term benefits rather than the short-term gratification and gain. And perhaps that's why the opening story of the Torah is about God's marshmallow test, not eating from the tree of knowledge. Because what is the Torah? The Torah is going to teach us how to live our lives, going to give us commandments. And what do all the commandments require? Self-discipline. Don't eat this food, it's not kosher. Don't work on Shabbat. Delay gratification by praying before you eat. And therefore, the Torah starts with the story by saying that if you want to lead a happy, successful, meaningful life, the first thing you have to learn is how to delay gratification. Because if you don't have the discipline to work hard in order to achieve long-term benefits, then you may enjoy the moment, but you will not accrue the full richness and blessings of life. You know, there was a documentary that came out this year. The name of the documentary is And So It Goes. It's about the life of Billy Joel. It's a fascinating documentary, and in it, he talks about how his father and his grandfather escaped Nazi Germany, and how his grandfather was a wealthy man who had a big fabric company. But then the Nazis and the propaganda caused him to lose his business. And the fabric business that his grandfather had became the company that produced and manufactured the striped uniforms that the inmates in the concentration camps wore. And he talks about the toll it took on his father as a 10-year-old kid watching the Nazi rallies from the window of his house, and how they escaped finally and made their way to America. However, he said that in 2017, when protesters in Charlottesville were chanting, "Jews will not replace us," he went out on a concert in Madison Square Garden a few days later in front of tens of thousands of people wearing a yellow star. And he said in the documentary, clutching his heart, he says, "No matter what, I will always remain a Jew, and a proud Jew." Well, we all know that Billy Joel went on to become renowned as the Piano Man, his signature song. And what is that song about? It's about the days that he worked in a bar with dreams and aspirations to become famous. And he observed other people in the bar, and the song talks about different personalities in the bar who missed their opportunity in life, that they're drinking a drink called loneliness and reminiscing or dreaming of a better life. There's the novelist, real estate agent who wants to be a novelist, and the bartender who wants to be an actor. But even though they have the desire, they lack the discipline to take their longing and their desires and translate them into actions. And therefore he observes the way they're drinking away in momentary indulgence and pleasure rather than pursuing long-term accomplishments. And sure enough, Billy Joel himself is describing his longing. However, he translated into action and wrote the song The Piano Man, which vaulted him to stardom and fame as perhaps his most famous song. And the message of The opening story is we all have dreams, we all have aspirations, and the Torah is the pathway, the way to achieve all those dreams in our lives, for happiness, for family, for blessings. But the key is you have to have control, you have to have self-discipline, you have to be able to act, and that requires momentary sacrifice for long-term benefits and gain. If we can master the marshmallow test or God's tree of knowledge test, then we can study the Torah and follow its path to a long, happy, and successful life. Shabbat Shalom.